Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Adrienne with Yoga for Migraine, and I am here live with my wonderfully supportive and sweet client, Debbie Williams, who is coming through the Beyond Migraine program. She just finished, and she had a dramatic decrease of her migraine days and medication. She went from taking 14 migraine meds a month down to just 2. And we're here to listen to her story and also how she started to exercise again and started to move, which was a struggle for her before she started. She used to be, before migraine, very active. She played tennis, volleyball, hiked. She had a very rewarding career as a special ed teacher, but migraine, as you are familiar with, changed her life and made it so many of these things that brought her joy were no longer possible until she got to the point where in her own words, she was a sedentary woman, fearful of movement, and Beyond Migraine helped her to move again. So Debbie, I'm so grateful that you could spend some time with us, and also to just shout out to Debbie that she was just always one of the most supportive people in our group, just like cheerleading and supporting everyone. And I just felt so supported from your presence, and I know everyone else in the group with you did. So I think you just had a radiant, positive presence that I'm very grateful for. So welcome, Debbie.
Well, thank you. You said such nice things. You know, I've been in different communities with people who suffer from migraine. And I mean, that's something that I don't think we can get enough of, is encouragement.
Absolutely. And yeah, well, so we'll kind of jump in. Like, what's unique, I think, about Debbie is that she had experienced coaching in another migraine program and have made some big strides there, and felt like there was still something missing. So tell us about that. You know, what was going what was going on in your life when you looked into my program, and what made you join us?
Yeah, I did. I bit the bullet because, like everybody else, you know, I've tried every medication, including so many of the recent ones. And then I've been on preventatives. At one time, I was on like 3 different, maybe 4 different preventatives that I took every day. And after a few years, I thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing? You know, you don't think very clearly when you're dealing with chronic migraine, and it became daily. And I thought, I'm taking all this stuff and it is not doing one single bit of good. So yeah, I finally made an investment in myself. And I'm so sorry I didn't do it sooner. Although, you know, these kinds of coaching really haven't existed very much. I don't know, maybe until the last 5 or so years.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the internet, and now, you know, we're so used to doing work online that there are a lot more choices and options to get help.
So I'm going to give Debbie Weidel a big plug here. She's out of New York, and her program is called the Freedom from Migraine Method. And she's absolutely amazing. I learned so much, I can't even tell you. And I thought I knew a lot. So there's my plug. But having gone through her program, which is a 16-week, 4-month program, and implementing all the different things, I realized that I really needed help in getting movement back into my life, because I really was fearful, and I am even now. I'm very careful, but I was at the point where I even just bending over, you know, to do maybe some household chores. There were many, many days I couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. I live in Arizona. It's almost always sunny here. I got to the point where I couldn't even go out and walk. It was just awful. Anyway, so it was the movement piece. And so I started looking into yoga. And I did try different yoga instructors, all online. And even when there were some classes that were being advertised as gentle yoga, it was still too much for me.
It's not gentle enough. And I absolutely have had that experience, especially when I was in had chronic migraine, go into a gentle yoga class, and it needed to be a lot more gentle for me at that point in my life. I get it.
So I started doing some research. And actually, I think you might have popped up on my Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read that you yourself had been through chronic migraine, I thought, oh my gosh, I need to give this lady a try because, you would know what we go through.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I came to you.
Yeah.
Because I went through that other program, I realized that, there's definitely a place for Western medicine, and there's definitely a place for pharmaceuticals in migraine. But I realized I needed to take the reins into my own hands. And even though I paid more than I would have thought I needed to, it was so worth it. And I realized there's a wealth of information out there that doctors and neurologists and even headache specialists just don't know about and don't delve into because they're very focused on,
Yeah, I mean, they're trained, right, and they're trained to really focus on just those physical symptoms, and pain affects every aspect of our being. I mean, yes, there's the physical aspects, but there's the emotional, the mental, and so to really be in a supportive group where people are all helping each other, and to acknowledge, like, here are the ways that you can to be empowered, to use the power of your breath, your body, your mind to make yourself feel better is very impactful. And so, yeah, you are, kind of felt the benefits of being in a coaching program already, and knew, like, yes, there was still some room for improvement. I mean, even when you first joined, you kind of were going through a flare and had a recent increase. And so, coming through Beyond Migraine, it seems like you really brought it at a much lower level. I mean, I had our numbers, and you brought your medication use down about 80% in 2 months. You cut your migraine days down about 65%. And really, I think for you, even beyond that is like starting that confidence to be active again. So, how are things different for you now? With you're moving, you're doing yoga. How does that feel for you now?
Oh, it feels wonderful. And what it's done too is it's brought that hope, back into my life that, I'm not always going, I'm hopefully never again will be as sedentary as I was. Yeah. But it gives me hope that with baby steps, and I keep nurturing the whole movement and all the other different things, we need to be careful about what we eat and drink. We need to be careful about our sleep routine, our stress levels, and even the toxic load that not only comes from our food and drink, but our grooming products or the odors in the air. And so there's all of that comes into taking care of yourself when you've got migraine.
Yeah. And at this point, having made some headway with these baby steps, and that's really in Beyond Migraine, what I help my clients do is go from, being sedentary to being able to safely and gradually increase your movement step by step in a way that feels doable, but also doesn't, trigger more pain, to the point where, Debbie's now still after the program practicing her yoga every day, going for walks. Has this affected your energy level, your mood? How has that been?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, whenever you can make improvements like that to your physical body, it just helps your whole mood because there's that hope again. And it also means that I'm getting out more with other people, which is extremely important. You said something, and it took my mind that I wanted to remember to say that when I first started, I noticed right away I could feel my muscles, kind of like when anybody starts exercising and they might feel muscle tension or a little soreness the next day. And I can't say that I was necessarily sore, but I could feel it,
Mhm.
And that was amazing that with such gentleness, I could feel it in my body.
Right. You felt the effects.
Um,
And that it didn't overdo into like a migraine attack, which is so common for people when they start exercising or push too hard, right? There's these exercise induced migraine attacks. So it makes people more fearful to move. And so this was just so gradual that it seems like it didn't negatively impact your migraines, only helped decrease it.
oh, you're exactly right. You just hit it on the head. And so your program is so gentle, and you take us from extreme gentleness, to a point where I probably can do most any gentle yoga class with maybe just a few accommodations.
Mm-hmm.
I still, don't necessarily like doing downward dog, but you have shown us ways that we can kind of accomplish the same things without doing that inversion.
Absolutely.
And
yeah. We use
wonderful.
lots of props. We use chairs, walls. We're endlessly creative to make the poses work for the person that's doing them, not the other way around.
And that's what I appreciate so much about Adrienne. You've been doing this, did you tell me 20 years?
Something like gosh, more than that, probably 25. I started practicing yoga as a teenager, so it's been part of my life, most of my life. Yeah.
And Adrienne, she keeps in contact with you. There was anytime I had a question, she was always there. And anytime I felt a little uncomfortable doing something in particular, I mean, most of the time, Adrienne, you didn't have just one idea of how to do it a little differently. You had two or three.
Yeah.
I just think that because you yourself, have migraine and you try to keep it below that threshold,
right?
You're just able to help us so much better. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And yeah, that is absolutely one of my goals, is to make yoga accessible for everybody, and that to help people not feel intimidated. It can feel intimidating going to like a yoga studio if you've never been, and everybody's fit and flexible. And in many ways, doing yoga at home for people with migraine is great, because you can adjust your environment. You can do it at times that you need to. You can adjust your practice depending on how you feel. And what's great, in Beyond Migraine is you're of course doing yoga, and that's a big part of it, but there's also so many other layers of support and learning that's going on. So, aside from the yoga, Debbie, what were some of the other things that you learned about or gained that maybe you weren't expecting?
That's right, because Adrienne has us learning about other things too, like mindfulness meditation and how important that is. How to do sensory body scans. Also our mindset, especially for someone like me who's been dealing with migraine for 45 years. But I should also say, I mean, even those of you who just have maybe been 2 years, it's just suddenly sprung on you. I mean, we all get to that point where, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, that's okay. I know, it's all the nerves of being live and the migraine brain. So we were talking about mindset and just how you've been,
we get into that rut of starting to get anxious whenever we first feel those inklings and so on. And so you teach us a very different way of thinking, and it all has to do with honoring your own body and being able to feel what's going on in your body and realize that it's very important that our body does that for us, because it's telling us a lot. And you teach us a new way to think about it, to love that our bodies are sensitive in that way, and how to nurture it. So that's really important. You talk a lot about our sleep schedule. Oh my gosh. What else?
Yeah, and for you, I think you mentioned, that was one of the benefits of like being more sensitive to your body's cues. And often with migraine, the sooner that you notice these shifts, whether you're a little more tired than normal, whether you're feeling cranky or stiff, or all these things, that if you catch them earlier and can change your behavior, change your environment, do yoga, meditate, that these are really powerful to help prevent and even reverse a migraine that may be under attack, compared to just pushing through and ignoring these signals.
Yes, another thing I have to say that's wonderful too about Adrienne's program is that she's got different yoga routines for when you're having a migraine, whether it's a low pain day, medium, or a high pain day. And she's just got it figured out as to what works best in those different conditions. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. And were you surprised, like you said, you had experienced a lot of benefit already from another coaching program. Were you surprised that you did make even bigger strides, not only with being able to exercise and move more, but just in your migraine days, that they decreased even more so?
Yeah. Adrienne, I have to be honest.
Sure.
Because I was in that previous coaching program.
Yeah.
Very comprehensive.
Yeah.
I pretty much knew that if I could just get into a routine, just get started and kind of get my body used to it so that I could move up to a regular kind of class. I knew that if I could just get that routine going, that I would do better.
Yeah. Like that was a missing link.
Yes.
Yeah. And that really, really got you there. Wonderful. So nowadays, you're completed with the program. You're still doing yoga with us every week. That's part of the perks of being in Beyond Migraine after our 8-week program. You also get weekly live yoga classes with the community of clients that I've worked with, and access to the Migraine Wellness Membership Program. How is your life different? Do you feel like you are treating yourself more kindly, listening to your body more now? How does that look?
Yes, most definitely. I think so many of us have grown up, were raised as children to just have a busy, go kind of lifestyle. I know from talking about myself personally, it didn't seem like if I wasn't doing something very productive for other people or for work or whatever, then I'm not putting this right. It just seemed like any downtime that I ever took for myself. I mean, I raised 2 daughters, so I have the busy family life like everyone does. But if I ever took downtime just for myself, it's like I couldn't really even enjoy it because I felt guilty, And it's been really hard, and I don't keep that really good, healthy mindset for myself every day yet, but I'm a whole lot better. It's really hard to put myself first.
And
but
that is a huge mindset shift, that we do help people through, because you are not the only one who struggles with that. And I think for many people with migraine and other chronic pain, that we have that tendency, right, to put others first, put our work first, put our family first. And as a result of not prioritizing our own needs, it kind of catches up with us in the long run. And so I do really help people get to that place of feeling like filling their own cup first is worthwhile, that you deserve it, and that really in the long run, it is helping others around you more effectively, right, than if you're burning yourself out and not making that personal time for yourself to regroup, to do yoga, whatever it is that feels good for you, that is calming, and that every day when you're kind of filling up your cup, you're also helping your migraine, you're also helping yourself be in a better mood, and that helps everybody else around you as well.
Yeah, it seems so counterintuitive, but it's happened time and time again in my own journey where also I'll start feeling better and I'll start doing more and I'll start fudging on, oh, no, I'm not going to do my yoga this afternoon. I feel good. I need to get this done, But after many days of doing that, all of a sudden I'm going, oh gosh, I'm feeling very good, And, I think it's kind of like a ripple effect when you learn all of this. So I learned that. And so then I get back into my routine, start feeling better again. And I start remembering, okay, but I have to do all the self-care if I want to keep feeling better. So I go longer times of feeling good. And then I might get down again. So it's kind of like a ripple effect. And when you toss that stone in the water, the little rings are close together, right where the stone hits, but then they get further apart as it
love
expands.
that
And I think that's what's happening. I'll get there.
And
you're deeper and deeper.
And you're not the only one who's mentioned that. Like other clients have mentioned, if they do kind of get a little lax on their yoga practice, like they do notice that not only, maybe in their migraine, but just their mood. And so in a way it does reinforce like our habit, like, this is something we want to keep up. This is a positive force in our lives. And to give yourself that internal valuing that you are worth being taken care of and taking care of yourself. And that is a big mindset shift for many folks to feel inside that they are worth it. So
yes.
I absolutely understand. I'm going to open it up. I know there's been a few people viewing. If you have questions for Debbie about her experience in Beyond Migraine, you're welcome to put it in the comments, or if you're catching the replay, we can tag her later as well. But I want to open that up for comments. Let me see if I can add a little something to help prompt everybody. Okay, we're gonna have to.
I can
Go
say
ahead, Debbie.
While you're doing that is another added bonus, and I don't think we've even talked about it yet, is the community that you enter into as well when you join this program. There are coaching calls that Adrienne does with us, and there's, I don't know, anywhere from like 4 to I think 10 people we've had at times. And we learn from each other, other people have questions about what they're going through, and you learn from that. You share what you're doing, they learn from that. And the people are always just very sweet. Everybody's hungry. They're hungry to figure themselves out and to figure this whole migraine thing out. And it's just inspirational.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I mean, I'm equally inspired by all of you, all of my clients in the group, and the level of support. And we celebrate each other's wins each week. It's a very positive community, yet we are also feel free to share our challenges and to troubleshoot them. But it is a very, very powerful experience of, yes, we're working on migraine and we want to feel better, and a lot of personal growth along the way, of personal development. Debbie, is there anything that, personal growth wise, that you felt changed for you over the course of the program?
I was also raised really pretty much to deny my feelings. And man, even if I had to, if I could parent my own children over again, because I didn't even have this realization then. It's only for me been in the last 2 years that I've realized I've not been listening to my body basically my whole life. When I would tell my parents things, that were bothering me, or that I wasn't feeling well or whatever. Basically their responses were always, oh, just get busy doing something else and it'll go away, or um, or
Very
just flat
dismissive.
out even telling me, oh, you shouldn't be feeling that way. No, 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 no. This is how you should be feeling. So I had a lifelong rearing like that. And I think so many people do. I've heard other people say the same thing. And so this has been a real journey for me to step back, cut out all the outside noise, and really listen to myself.
That's beautiful.
I wish I'd known that all along.
Yeah, that is huge and powerful. And that process of really taking that time and space to tune inward and listen to your body and those voices, your intuition, is a powerful transformation of trusting yourself, and honoring everything you're feeling. We are a positive community, but we also validate whatever struggles are going on, good or bad, that it's okay, whatever it is. And often just in the process of not running away from it or pushing it away, that it all actually just becomes easier and more manageable. And same with migraine, when we're not running away from the symptoms or fearing or just trying to push through, that it often reduces the intensity when we can just be okay with it.
And one thing that has impressed me with your program and your coaching is Adrienne's very good about getting you to understand that if something's starting to feel uncomfortable and obviously painful or anything like that, to stop, slow it down, do something a little differently. I mean, Adrienne is very helpful in teaching us also to listen to our bodies and respond in an appropriate way for you.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that.
Thank you for sharing that, Debbie. I love that, you gain so much from, yes, like our coaching calls and the program, but really, like, I think for you, the actual yoga practice has been really powerful, and giving yourself that permission to change things, to get support, to make it your own, to listen to what your body's doing and knowing, yeah, I could try going a little further, I can pull back. These are huge skills for dealing with any form of chronic pain, that sense of discernment, of listening to yourself, deciding how you want to react, and making a decision for your health is a huge life skill that I know will carry you really far into the future. So maybe to wrap up, I don't see any huge questions. So if you do, feel free to drop them in the comments, but I know we've had quite a few people listening live. And if you are catching the replay, you're welcome to post comments after the fact. But what would you say to someone who's considering working with me and learning more about Beyond Migraine?
I would say definitely sign up with Adrienne. She's a compassionate listener. Adrienne's very knowledgeable in yoga, and I would say just about movement in general. I just turned 61 a couple days ago. And like I said earlier, I've been dealing with this for 45 years. I wished I could have gone through these kind of coaching programs years ago, because I think a lot of heartache would have been, I wouldn't have had as much heartache, and loss of a job, loss of income, loss of family ties, loss of family and sense of community. Yeah. So do not put these things off. Right. And especially if you're younger, invest in yourself. That's the best investment. If you don't, you could end up going years with pain, and it's a terrible strain on relationships. No, don't put it off.
Mm,
Do it. Do it for yourself.
that's such good advice, especially, you know, being on the other side of this now. And yeah, so many folks, you know, they do put their health last, and it catches up, and this is your life. I mean, your one and only life. And it can feel intimidating to make that investment in yourself. But in that process, you're telling yourself, like, I'm worth it. I can get better. I'm gonna take care of myself. And all of this helps to reduce your pain, help you feel more inspired, like hopeful, like Debbie was saying again, and to feel supported, like that you don't need to struggle for years and years on your own, just like bouncing around to different doctors, that there is so much we can do for ourselves.
Yeah. And the thing is, migraine disease is kind of like, the frog in the boiling water.
Yes.
First it's warm, and he stays in there, but then that heat keeps cranking up, and it's just something that really sneaks up on you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have episodic migraine at the beginning, you don't realize how that can escalate, and does many times, and you want to avoid that.
Yes.
I think my threshold is much lower
Mm-hmm.
than if it would have been if I had caught all of this and understood all of this about my body and my general overall health earlier.
Absolutely. Yes. And as much as we hear, maybe we read online about, yes, you should work on your exercising, and yes, you should work on sleep, to actually have a very step-by-step guided process with someone holding your hand through it is really the fastest, most effective way to get you feeling better, because it is so hard to do this on your own. And if you're already dealing with daily pain and unable to even make dinner, like it's overwhelming to navigate this on your own. But to do it with all these other folks who are in the same boat, inspiring each other, motivating each other, it really does make fast progress, because migraine, it is a genuine neurological disorder, but it's also a lifestyle disease in a way, where lifestyle makes a huge impact on how well we live with migraine. So Debbie, I'm so grateful for your inspirational words and support. And if anyone else is interested to learn more about Beyond Migraine, my group coaching program, feel free to send me a DM anytime. I'll also post a link. We do insight calls to help people see if they're a good candidate for the program, and we'd love to see you inside. So Debbie, thank you again for being here.
You're so welcome.
Wonderful. We'll see you guys next Wednesday for a yoga practice. We'll see you then.